Hey, how goes it? Today I've got a slightly bizarre little anecdote to share. So, in the 4th grade, I went on a little field trip. Pretty standard stuff, right? But this wasn't any old field trip. This was an overnight. The event of the year. There was nothing more insane to our little 4th grade brains than going on an overnight. At my school, 4th grade was the year we learned about the California Gold Rush. It's pretty much all we talked about all year. So to stick with this theme, we were going to some place named Jeremy's Farm. No one really knew anything about Jeremy's Farm, but there was a rumor that there was a square dance, and every 4th grader had heard that you had to have a date. Mass hysteria ensued. You may have heard of the Salem witch trials, where a bunch of people were basically like, "You're a witch," and "You're a witch." Those pale in comparison to the amount of insanity that was 4th grade recess for the week leading up to the overnight. Kids getting rejected by their 4th grade date left and right. "Hey, will you go to the dance with me?" No. Oh, dude, never recover. Being superior to the other 4th graders, I didn't have a crush at school, so I was in the clear. So the day arrived. Our parents had packed us well, and it was early, like way before we would usually go to school. I'm pretty sure it was dark outside. There was a yellow bus parked next to the school. Something interesting was that almost everyone had a parent who was going. This wasn't really supposed to happen. I think there was only supposed to be like 3 or 4 chaperones. But because most of these kids hadn't spent much time away from home, their parents freaked out and all were like, "I gotta come on the trip." My mom was among the parents coming on the trip, but she wasn't actually too worried about me because I'd already gone to sleepaway camp. She signed up pretty early on because she thought they might need chaperones. So we get on the bus. It's pretty standard school bus, rows of seats, children, no seatbelts, because, who needs seatbelts, am I right? In the event of a crash, all the 4th graders would just bounce around like rubber balls. This is a joke. This is a joke. Don't test it. Please. Don't. 4th graders are not actually rubber balls. They won't bounce. I feel like I have to say this. We all thought this was going to be like a 2-hour trip. Yeah, it was 4 hours. 4 hours. It's like the length of 2 movies. Or watching Avatar once. We sang 100 bottles of milk! You have to say milk! Milk on the wall. Twice. That's 200. That's 100 times 2, which is 200. So one downside of a 4-hour trip without bathrooms was the having to pee really bad part. And the thing about 4th graders that you might not know if you're not a 4th grader is their bladders are tiny. Like 4th graders have some of the smallest bladders on earth. Like if you look at the size of a mouse's bladder and the size of a 4th grader's, the 4th graders' bladders are smaller. Like 10 minutes in, there was already a kid who was like, "Teacher, I have to pee." Upon our arrival, we pulled into a dirt road. Standing there were these 2 guys, decked out in cowboy outfits, hats on heads, guns in belts. One of them was on a horse. So we all get off and have the best pee of our lives. This was a life-changing experience. No one who was on the trip has ever been the same again. Alright now, kids. Our horses got stolen and we've got to get all this stuff here up that hill. One carriage pushing later, we were split into 3 groups and rotated around some activities that the gold rushers would have done back in the old days. My group started with camping, I guess. It was just kind of this guy in a tent who showed us what kind of cups they used and stuff. It looked like this. Next, we went to candle dipping, which, surprisingly enough, was something that I'd actually done before. If you don't know this, I went to a little bit of a weird school from kindergarten to 8th grade. We didn't actually have enough time to finish the candles, so they just kind of ended up looking like this. And then we had my favorite activity of all. Something pretty normal for 4th graders, kind of along the lines of like jump rope or like word game. It was axe throwing. Yep. They gave the 4th graders axes and let us throw them around. Apparently, someone from another school was messing around, and they almost hit another kid in the head with an axe. I wasn't actually there to see that, but yikes. When it was my turn, I was excellent at this axe throwing. Out of the 3 tries, I stuck the first one and then it fell off, and then I stuck the other 2 and they stayed. I was ecstatic. Look at that! The guy even told me, "You're gonna get a prize at the end. You just wait and see. Remember this prize. It comes into play later." The dinner bell was rung, and we headed into what was essentially a massive barn. This is where we would spend the remainder of the evening. We all sat at some tables and complained about the food for a while. Then, it was time for the fabled square dance. Pretty much no one wanted to actually do the square dance, but we had to do it anyway for at least a little bit. Some people danced with other people who went to the school. I danced with my mom, because I'm cool. After the dance, they said it was time to go to sleep. Wait a second. Oh no. Military cots. This was gonna be rough. Some people were so freaked out about sleeping there that they planned ahead of time and actually went to a hotel with their parent for the night and they didn't even get the whole experience. Like my one friend.
Okay, well, I didn't want to get attacked by a bear or have to sleep on a cot that probably 15 other people have peed on or thrown up on.
A couple things happened during that night. This one person just kind of cried all night and kept half the girls' side up, which wasn't great for the people who didn't sleep, which was a lot of people. This one guy, Danny, he was sleeping, and he woke up. That's weird. Huh. And one of the greatest of all was this one girl, Emily, who was next to this girl, Abby. Her cot was a little higher. They still talk about it. Every once in a while, they'll just bring it up. After the perils of the nighttime, we went outside for some hot chocolate. It was watery, but the morning was cold, and it comforted our frigid and estranged souls. A man stood on the stage, cowboy hat upon his head. He told us of a fiendish robber that we must track down. We followed the man across a path on a mountain, and then we saw that rascal. So what do you think would happen now? Maybe tag, speech about history? No. You're done, and you're an idiot. What happened was he pulled out a gun. Yep, a real gun. A revolver, like a gun. And he just fired it at the guy. It wasn't as loud as it should have been. Thankfully, it was just loaded with blanks. But still. So he shot the guy a couple more times, and we walked him over to the jail. It was kind of this little shack in the middle of a field. Then, it was time for some rock-hard pancakes, apparently inspiring some pancake frisbee. Finally, it was time for Gold Rush Town. Apparently, there were a bunch of other schools who were coming just for the Gold Rush Town part of the day. They hadn't actually slept the night. So how the town worked was there was this bank called Fells Wargo. Yep, that's actually what it was called. There was a sign. And you could get money at the bank by doing different things around the town. You could pan for gold in a little pond. You could work in a mining company, go in a cave, or you could work for the black powder charge guy. While everyone else went looking for gold, I was rolling black powder charges for the entire time. And this guy was fascinating. He talked about all the elements you need to make black powder. I didn't make a lot of money. It wasn't a very profitable thing to do. But it was a reliable source of income. So the way the gold worked was there was just these, painted rocks and ponds and, troughs across the town. And apparently it was really tempting to lean over the water to get that one rock that was just out of reach. So this one girl, yeah, she was from another school, so, not quite as smart as us cool kids. And it took multiple teachers to pull her out, and then she was just kind of wet for the rest of the day. Just like life in the Wild West, there was a lot of stealing. Most amassed their fortune at the misfortune of those unfortunate enough to be distracted. Iggy, a legend of trail navigation and masterful songbird, was good at looking for gold. But even better, at taking it. And this is mine. To finish off our time at Jeremy's farm, there was an auction where all the kids could spend their hard-earned or stolen coin. Unfortunately for literally everyone else, Iggy had an absolutely massive advantage due to the sheer amount of cash he had. And the only good prizes weren't even a competition. He even got a caramel apple. Remember before when I said, and I would get a prize for the axe throwing thing? Well, you better remember, it wasn't even that long ago. I never got a prize, ever. I still, to this day, I haven't gotten a prize, and I'm still salty. I wanted one of those tasty caramel apples. I love caramel apples. In conclusion, Jeremy's farm was a bizarre yet fun experience. It brought me closer to some of my classmates and gave us something to talk about for a long, long time afterwards. I still want a caramel apple, though. Thanks for watching the video. Please consider subscribing and sharing this with a friend. It really helps grow the channel. See you next time.